Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. This is Madam Atira and this week's topic is counter-argument and refutation. So you're going to start learning on how to write your third paragraph, which consists of counter-argument and refutation. Please listen to the lecture video carefully and do the activities provided in your eCampus. So what is counter-argument? Now, counter-argument is our opposing view, which is opposite our stand. So it is written to acknowledge an opposing viewpoint or an argument that challenges your claim. Now, it's essential to present the counter-argument fairly and accurately to show that you understand differing perspectives. So in other words, counter-argument refers to the opposing view or the view opposite of your stand. Besides counter-argument, in our third paragraph, we also have the refutation. So refutation is basically when we refute or counter the opposing view that we have mentioned before by providing evidence, reasoning, or examples that defend our initial claim or our initial stand. This strengthens our argument when we address and discredit the opposing viewpoint. So remember when I mentioned about the counter argument, so at the beginning of your third paragraph, you're going to write a counter argument or an opposing view that is opposite of your original stand. And then after that, you have to refute or you have to counter the opposing view by providing evidence, reasonings, or examples that actually defend your initial claim. So don't worry if you're still confused. We're going to look at a few examples after this. So what are the importance of counter-argument and refutation? First is because we want to demonstrate awareness. So acknowledging counter-arguments, which is the opposing viewpoint, shows that we have considered multiple perspectives on the topic. It demonstrates a deeper understanding of the issue by recognizing opposing viewpoints or potential objections. And secondly, it helps to strengthen credibility. By addressing counter-arguments, we establish credibility and fairness. It shows that we have critically evaluated different sides of the issue rather than presenting a one-sided or biased argument. And besides that, it also helps to enhance persuasion. Refuting counter-arguments strengthens the primary argument or our original stand. By debunking opposing views through evidences, reasoning, or examples, the writer reinforces the validity of their own standpoint, making their argument more persuasive and compelling. So when you debunk the opposing views, in other words, you are actually refuting. Okay, so it helps us to strengthen our original point when we show the weaknesses of the counter-argument itself. And finally, it encourages critical thinking. Engaging with counter-arguments encourages critical thinking skills in students. It prompts them to analyze, evaluate, and think critically about their own position and the positions of others. Now, when you write your argumentative essay later, which includes the counter-argument and refutation, I'm sure you're going to really think hard and you have to do even a little bit of reading. Because here you have to look at the issue from two sides or two different perspectives. So this actually encourages critical thinking skills among students. Now, here are some of the techniques for writing our counter-argument or our opposing viewpoints. First, we need to acknowledge the opposition. So, we can introduce the counter-argument by acknowledging the validity of the opposing viewpoint. We can use some of the phrases like, some may argue that, or it could be suggested that. And then secondly, we need to present the opposing view objectively. Clearly articulate the opposing argument without bias or distortion. This demonstrates fairness and understanding of differing perspectives. So since we have to write about an opposing view, something that is opposite of our initial stand or belief, we have to remember to write it in an articulate and fair manner. So this shows our unbiased perspectives on the issue. And then thirdly, we also need to support our counter argument with evidence. So provide evidence or examples supporting the counter argument. So this helps to reinforce its validity and shows that we have thoroughly considered various sides of the issue, meaning that we also have to include a little bit of examples or explanations or any kind of evidence to support the counter argument. And finally, it's important to be concise and focused. So keep the counter argument concise and focus on the main point. Avoid presenting too many opposing viewpoints to maintain clarity and coherence. Next, we have some of the techniques for writing refutation. Now, refutation is how we refute or how we counter against the opposing view that we have mentioned previously. So now first we need to address the weaknesses. Now identify and address the weaknesses or flaws in the counter argument. So perhaps we can highlight any unsupported claims, logical fallacies, or incomplete information. And secondly, we also need to provide evidence and reasoning. So we can refute the counter argument by presenting evidence, reasoning, or examples that contradict or undermine the opposing viewpoint. So we can use facts, statistics, experts' opinion, or logical reasoning to support our refutation. And third is to show why our argument is stronger. Clearly explain why our original argument is more valid or persuasive compared to the counter-argument. Emphasize the evidence or logic that supports our stance. And use transitional phrases. So use transitional phrases such as however, nevertheless, or on the contrary to signal the shift from the counter-argument to the refutation. This helps in maintaining the flow of the essay. Now, if you notice, these phrases such as however, nevertheless, on the contrary, on the other hand, and etc. are used to indicate that we are talking about something that is opposite of our original point. So since counter-argument is the opposing viewpoint and refutation is basically used to refute or to counter our opposing viewpoint, then we use these phrases to show the different sides of the ideas. Let's learn the different types of refutation by looking at an example. The thesis statement that we have is, we should do Tai Chi instead of taking medicine. And the first counter-argument is, people should trust medicine since it is effective and scientifically proven. Now, notice that the counter-argument used is the opposite view of our thesis statement. So this shows that we are also considering the alternative side or the alternative view of our argument. And the refutation that we have is, Tai Chi is also scientifically proven and does not have side effects. Now, our refutation refutes the counter-argument that we have provided before. And this method of refutation is insufficient claim. And our second counter-argument is, serious illnesses such as HIV or AIDS and cancer cannot be treated without medicine. And our refutation is, medicine also cannot treat serious illnesses if not diagnosed at an early stage. And this type of refutation is, when the opponents are partially correct. And our final example of counter-argument or opposing view is that Tai Chi, like alternative healing methods, requires a lot of time. And the refutation that we use is Tai Chi requires less time if done regularly. And our method of refutation is opponents are completely wrong. If you're still confused about counter-argument and refutation, don't worry. Let's look at this example. So the topic is, should school uniforms be mandatory? And our stand is, yes, we agree on this because school uniforms should be mandatory for all students to promote a sense of equality and discipline. And the counter-argument that we can use is, opponents argue that enforcing school uniforms suppresses students' individuality and freedom of expression, hindering their creativity and self-identity. So do you notice that the counter-argument or the opposing view here is against our stand or is the opposite of our stand? We believe that school uniform should be mandatory because we want to promote a sense of equality and discipline at school. But then we also acknowledge the opponent's claim that enforcing school uniforms can actually suppress the students' individuality and freedom of expression. So here we are looking at the issue from two different perspectives. But since we have our stand, which we believe that school uniforms should be made mandatory, then we need to also include our refutation. So here you can see that in our refutation, we mentioned that, however, while individual expression is important, the primary focus of school uniforms is to foster a sense of unity and equality among students. Studies show that uniforms can reduce socio-economic barriers, bullying related to clothing and distractions, and ultimately enhancing the learning environment. So here we refute our counter-argument by saying that the focus of going to school is actually to learn. And then school uniforms can help to improve the learning process by reducing the socio-economic barriers, bullying related to clothing, and distractions. So this is how we refute or how we counter our opposing view. Our second example is social media beneficial for society? And our stand is, we think that social media has a positive impact on society by facilitating communication, networking, and information sharing. So here, it is evident that we agree with the topic or the question that social media has lots of benefits for the society in terms of promoting communication, networking, and also information sharing. And the counter argument is the opposing viewpoints. So here you can see that the counter argument talks about or lay down the side effects or the negative side effects of social media, such as addiction, mental health issues, and a decline in face-to-face interactions. So here you can see that the counter argument is the opposite of our stand. And the refutation is used to support our initial stand by refuting the counter-argument. So our refutation is, despite concerns about addiction and mental health, social media also serves as a powerful tool for social activism, education, and global connectivity. When used responsibly, it allows for the dissemination of information, awareness campaigns, and networking opportunities that can lead to positive societal changes. So here we can see that the refutation refute our opposing viewpoints by saying that when we use social media responsibly, there are so many benefits of social media to the society. So hopefully hopefully you're able to understand what is counter-argument and refutation by looking at this example. Do you notice that in these examples, we have acknowledged the points for the counter-argument or the opposing viewpoints, but we also include stronger or more convincing points for the refutation. So this helps to emphasize our stand or our initial claim. So you may do this in your argumentative essay to convince the readers of your stand. I hope by now you already understand what is counterargument and refutation and how to write them in your argumentative essay. So if you have any questions, you can always ask your English language instructor. So after you have finished listening to this video, please proceed with the exercises provided in your eCampus. Happy learning and all the best!